What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? How are we doing today? Glad to have you guys here. So today we're going to be talking about time efficiency. A lot of you guys hear this all the time, have this this inclination, this thought process that I may be playing 8 to 10 hours a day. That's crazy. That's nuts. I wouldn't do that. It's one of the reasons why when people try to compete with me, whether it be in power and time to T5, stuff like that, they often burn out. Is because their time efficiency doesn't match mine, and to compensate for that, they spend a bunch more time, and eventually they realize that it's just not worth putting that many hours into a video game, which makes sense. So let's get down to brass tacks. Let's talk about time and efficiency and how to make it easier and faster and more effective. The first thing off rip, how much time do I play per day? Generally, if I stream for 3 hours, and then maybe I play 1 hour off stream, right? But that hour is sprinkled throughout the day. So I may be playing like 3 to 4 hours a day when I stream, and when I don't stream, I might be playing 1, maybe 2, probably like closer to 1 or like 30 minutes. It's not that I don't like the game, I'm just much less interested in it. It's really interesting to me when I'm streaming and having fun and talking to you guys, and that is kind of what makes the game interesting for me. So without that, I'm just not playing that much. But the time that I do play, I call effective play. So when you play per day, you have about 2 hours of really effective play. This is going to be doing events, doing daily stuff, gathering gems, training troops, right? All of the things that you log on to and just do really, really quickly. Those quick actions are going to be like the most effective play. And then after that, you're going to start having diminishing returns. Real quick, if I were to go onto this event calendar, right? So right now we have Champions of Olympia, we had Cerulean Crisis, we have Silk Road, we have Golden Kingdom, right? All these events take like an hour, maybe a little bit more, right? These events would be examples of something called effective play. So let's say you play like 5 hours a day, but you only play it in chunks of time. So it's consecutive 5 hours a day. You wake up in the morning, you play 5 hours a day, but your alliance does Silk Road in the evening. Then you have played 5 hours a day, but you really haven't gotten those effective hours in. The most important thing to be doing is, if you're playing all this time per day, is to be doing all of your events. It sounds like super obvious, but again, like I expertise YSG, I want to say on his second wheel, flat, right? I just expertised him immediately. Well, not the biggest achievement on the planet, that is pretty large, especially for free to play. And one of the ways that I did that is every single time I saw an event, I would do it, right? If I counted the amount of sculptures that I have missed in my entire 504 days of playing right now, I'd probably be at like 25 total opportunity cost sculptures throughout the entire game. So if you can do all the events, your effective playtime is going to go up, right? So you can play longer and get more out of it. When you are barb chaining isn't bad necessarily, but barb chaining isn't necessarily effective play. Now in Season of Conquest, right, like these barbs, they are kind of effective play, right? At a certain point, like doing, if you had to take like 2 hours for Champions of Olympia or something like that, or chain for 2 hours, especially with multiple marches, this might be considered effective play. But when you're in Home Kingdom, it's much less effective. Another thing that I do is I chain with multiple marches. If you guys checked out the Barbarian Masterclass video, which I'm going to put in the description below, in that video, I talk about why I can chain barbs so much faster, right? It's because I invest into barb gear, into barb armaments, and multiple marches, so I can specifically kill barbs faster, because saving time is really, really important. If I chain with 3 or 4 separate marches, and all of those marches have gear, have armaments, have buffs, I'm asking for justice, if I'm doing all of this stuff, my 3 hours on stream might be somebody else's 8 hours off stream. Somebody might play 8 hours in that day and not get the same amount of speeds, resources, gems, materials. They may not get all of that, right? Because I'm focusing on being as efficient as possible. When I am playing, right? I might be chatting, I might be talking to people on the side, but I'm making sure that I'm for sure getting in my effective hours. Once you finish your time and you're just like gathering gems and stuff, then you can just kind of chill. Then you can just be on chat, talking to people, working on your farms, then it's no big deal. But like those events and everything else have to come down as fast as possible. So next comes down to like, when do I play? When I say I stream 3 hours and I play for those 3 hours, that's going to be consecutive play, right? In those 3 hours, I'm going to do all of the static events, right? They're events that are going to come to me and they aren't really limited by time. So we're going to say like, Champions of Olympia, Golden Kingdom, Cerulean Crisis, Cerulean Assault, events like that. Whereas that 1 hour I might play outside of it is going to go to like Silk Road, it's going to go to like Howrack bosses, anything that requires you to be somewhere at a certain time. And so we're going to have consecutive versus non-consecutive play. Non-consecutive play is kind of the strongest thing you can do. So if you work in like an office, or you work as maybe like a physical trainer or something, where you have like breaks in between stuff, and you can access your phone, you have non-consecutive time, right? You can repeatedly send out your gem gathers, you can do like small events here and there, and it's a pretty easy thing for you to do. Just hop on and do it. If you're playing consecutively, so you're playing before work and after work, we're talking about like you have like a construction job or something where you can't just be, pulling out your phone in front of the foreman, it makes sense that you're going to have lower efficiency. Spreading out your time is one of the most effective things you can do to improve your overall effective play. So I would say one of the final things here, and the most important ones, is when does it matter to play? People will play 8 to 10 hours and they will just go day, right? And they're not really going to consider what they're doing in those 8 to 10 hours, and then they're going to stop playing for like 2 to 3 days. Consistency is kind of one of the biggest keys in this game, because when we talk about effective versus non-effective play, we talk about you generally have like 2 hours of like actually being able to do stuff per day, and then if you're playing for like 4 hours, you're playing for 6 or 8 hours, right? Those hours afterwards are much less impactful. You have to think, when should I be playing? So when you're in Home Kingdom, in between KVKs, should you necessarily be putting in like 6 to 8 hours? Like, probably not, right? That's a really easy way to burn yourself out. And when you notice the game stop being fun anymore, it's already over, right? Then you're already ready to quit. However, if you were to play maybe like an hour and a half a day, make sure you're doing all your events, but not doing much more in Home Kingdom, but then you get to Lost Kingdom and then you're playing like 4 to 5 hours a day, right? You're still averaging those crazy times that you were putting in Home Kingdom, but now you're spreading it to times that actually matter, right? It'd be like if you were chaining barbs, not during Lohar. Right, if you put 6 hours of chaining during not Lohar, and you put 2 hours of chaining into Lohar, there's an issue with that. So if you're spawn chaining, for example, and you kill one barb that will drop 20 gems 10% of the time, well, if it's during Lohar, they'll drop 30 gems 10% of the time. Right? So if you're doing 50% more gems, why would you ever, it's like a double XP weekend for Call of Duty. Why would you ever play really hard during times that don't matter when you can just play really hard during times that do matter and then kind of relax on times that don't? Another good example of this is like Marauders. Like, people ask me consistently, they'll be like, hey, 12, like, can I chain Marauders? Is that something I can do to where I can get like extra value and extra boxes? And it's like, well, I mean, yes, but like, why would you chain Marauders when you can chain like KVK barbs? Instead of like doing all the back-breaking labor to do that, right? You can just take, 1, 2, 3 separate marches and just start AoEing any kind of KVK barbs you find, right? You don't just have to use one march, you can use multiple. You use multiple marches, and that's more effective. Because at the end of the day, with all of your extra AP, you're probably going to end up 5 marching it. If you're ever going for honor or something like that, and even getting 2 barbs is better than 5 marching 1 barb. It's not rocket science. So when I'm like marching with like 3 or 4 different marches to try and kill barbs, I'm not necessarily looking for the highest, like most robust amount of barbs. I'm just looking to save time, because no matter how I slice it, I'm always going to be saving AP. There's almost never going to be a point where I have 0 AP and then I'm going to be out and worrying about the total like AP conservation. It's very rare. You put yourselves in those situations. I would say the final point here is that your time has to be deemed as a priority when you play. If you want to be as efficient as I am, because I hang out with people, I talk to people, I exercise, I spend time with my family, to have time for all of this, my time always has to be a priority. When I play Rise of Kingdoms, every time I do something, it's always a race. How can I make this faster? How can it go better? How can I get more, right? That has to be the question that always goes into your head, right? So if you've got your Richard YSG out there, and you're chaining 2 barbs, 3 barbs, something like that, right? But there are other commanders with circular AoE. Your thought process has to not be, well, at least I have Richard YSG, this is gonna be the best pairing. It's like, hey, I put 1 hour into this, or I put 3 hours into this. How could I put 20 minutes instead and get the same value? How can I put 1 hour and get the same value, right? You always have to go for more. It may seem really overwhelming having like the same patterns to go through your farms, right? When I go through my farms, it probably takes me like 5 or 7 minutes to go through all the dailies on my farm, like everything, like training troops, collecting gifts, popping a buff, sending out everything, right? It probably takes me like 7 minutes for like 5 farms, but it's because I do the same thing every day. And I'm not thinking, oh, it's just cool, it's fun, I'm just lying on my farms. I'm thinking, okay, this needs to be done now. I have to finish this. So I'm finishing the farms first, I'm going on my main, I'm sending out my gem gatherers, right? Like when I zoom out, I zoom out to the max zoom, and I'm just looking around like desperately to get gems, because I'm trying to do it as fast as humanly possible every single time I do anything in this game. And that kind of has to be the way you're going to look at it if you want to be there in time. That's going to be it for the video. If you guys enjoyed it, hey, make sure to drop a like, consider subscribing, hitting the notification bell, everything like that. If you guys want to get notifications when I go live, make sure you join that Discord in the description below. Make sure you go to the role selection tab and turn on announcement and stream notifications. If you guys want to contact me about the coaching right here, It's $35 a session. DM me on Discord and say, hey, I'm interested in the coaching. And yeah, we can talk about it and you can get some private coaching. If you guys want to help support the stream financially, please hit up the tip link for Streamlabs in the description below, or you can check out our merch store. Take it easy, guys. Have a great one. Deuces.